I do not know why the leaders of from Nyanza are fighting us. We do not fight them. We are not. They have a right to associate with Ruto. The decision will be made by Kenyans. Okay. And there has been some opinion polls that were, that were made public last week. And the percentage of people who do not support the broad-based government, it was there for everybody to see. So please, Jared, don't ever think that whatever happens in Mount Kenya is informed by however Ruto is treated in Nyanza. We have no problem with that. Okay. We know that when somebody is rejected at home, they go to Nyanza to be nursed. Uhuru was happiest in his second term. The happiest moments would be found in Nyanza. And because, now that Jared has said that, and I don't like, I respect people, and I respect Raila Amolo Odinga a lot. But it is true. When you are rejected at home from your former, support base, you run to Nyanza. And that is where you get comfort. So because Nyanza has decided to be the comforter of the reject, we have no problem with that.
Who is the reject?
So please.
Who is the reject?
Please.
Who is the reject?
But Uhuru was rejected at home. That is why he used to come to be nursed. That is what Nyanza is doing for Ruto.
Welcome back once again to Bonita Media. As usual, call me Boniface Owino. And just a reminder that if at all we are meeting for the first time, don't forget to take a minute to go down there. You can click the subscribe button. You can as well tell me where you're watching this video from. If you're within the country, it is good to tell me which part of the country are you watching from. Which county? County 001, 002, 003, 010, 011, 015, 020, any part of the country. I'll be very glad to know where you're watching from. And if at all you are outside the country, you can as well tell me which country are you watching from. Just drop me the flag of your country, the country where you are, at the comment section, and I will figure it out myself and know which country exactly are you watching from. I'm really much appreciative. Let me just appreciate those who've already subscribed, those who've already joined this family, because your support is very much good. And as I normally say, that feedback is normally the key thing in any form of communication. I cannot fail to appreciate you guys for the good work that you are doing. Now, getting back into our discussion, today I was listening to Daybreak, which was hosted by Trevor Mbija. And I had two people arguing. One is in the opposition and one is supposed to be in the opposition but now claims to be in the government. Now I'm talking about Senator Nyuta and Jared. And there is a statement that was made by Jared which made me decide to do this video. I didn't want to do this video today, but I've just decided to do it because of this statement of Jared.
Nyanza province, where I come from, of course, with a lot of historical injustices meted on us by successive regimes, we have always remained sober, we have remained fair, we have even voted for people outside Nyanza to the man, just because we were born as bastions of inclusion. And anything politics about exclusion, when you juxtapose the interest of Nyanza, we will not be there.
Yeah.
So Nyanza fights nobody. Nyanza has always been looking for its fair share in the national cake because they are equally taxpayers. But looks like other people have a very big problem when there is equity in distribution of national resources. And to them, equity now means that they have been excluded. Because probably they have been used to a system where the bigger part of that cake only goes to a particular direction. And I will not go into that today. That's a subject for another day. So Nyanza will always advocate for fairness. And that is why if anyone faces injustice anywhere, the very first people to either represent you for pro bono in a court of law or to shout at the top of their voices would be Nyanza citizens.
Yeah. And
we don't do it with any fear. We do it because we think that is the right thing to do. Because if an injustice is meted on in one corner, the next corner is yours. So we cannot allow injustice to be allowed to fester.
Okay.
I'm told here that some leaders hired other gentlemen to block Rigathi Gachagua into accessing an event somewhere. Well, there is no evidence that some people basically hired people to do so. So if we had some evidence, then I would have delved a little further into it.
Same way there's no evidence that the goons who chanted one term were also hired. You mentioned that they were hired. And
I described the circumstances under which that view would feed. I said they were actually outside the perimeter, not inside. And they were clique. There were very few, just a paltry number who were shouting that. So I looked at evidential, you know, the law of evidence. Yeah, to feed into what I was talking about.
Okay.
We're talking about the numbers. Firstly, we as a community have always had Raila Odinga, the Prime Minister, to give us the political direction. 2027, he will give us the political direction. So saying that Luos will not be equal to Kikuyus, who probably Ruto is going to lose, and I don't know how, because Ruto was in Central Province just a month ago. And the rousing welcome he received was even much more than what we saw in Homa Bay. So I don't know where my brother Nyuta is getting all this, that Mount Kenya may actually gravitate away from William Ruto, when just a month ago, we saw it.
Okay.
But at the right time, we will be given the right direction as to how to move the politics of this country.
So finally, there's no confirmation in 2027 that you will support President William Ruto?
Well, 2027 is too far away. Even if you ask President Ruto what is in his bag for 2027, he can't know now.
Okay.
So 2027 will come. The most important thing that President Ruto and Raila Odinga have chosen to do for this country is to unite everybody behind a common cause of building this nation. Because if it is stratified, we all suffer.
Okay.
Sometimes it's disappointing to listen to people who are leaders, people who went to school, but who, instead of addressing the question on the table, you know, twist things to suit a particular narrative. And I'm referring to my friend Jared here. You know, there were chants of one term by ordinary wananchi in Nyeri. But Jared, you know, takes this and twists it. And even, in fact, says it was a response to the rousing welcome that Ruto received in Homa Bay. I mean, it's sad, Trevor. I mean, listening to a sober mind like Mukwanja here, you know, addressing the issues, that is what should be looked at. What could have led these Kenyans, because Gachagua was not anywhere near there, what would have led these Kenyans into those chants? And I liked Mukwanja's, approach. One, it is, you know, Kenyans are continuously feeling suppressed. And the case of Jerry is the latest in point. I mean, that you just establish a platform for Kenyans to air their views regarding the Finance Bill 2025, and then you are arrested for having committed no crime at all, you know, showing that there is intolerance on the part of government. Let me tell Jared and assure him that the people of Mount Kenya, and I'm not here just to talk about Mount Kenya, it's because this incident happened in Nyeri, which is in Mount Kenya, have no problem, and I don't know how many times we need to repeat this. We have no problem with Nyanza or ODM supporting Ruto. Nobody has ever complained. And if there is anyone in my team that has ever complained that ODM is supporting William Ruto, let Jared bring it to the table. I do not know why the leaders from Nyanza are fighting us. We do not fight them. We are not, they have a right to associate with Ruto. The decision will be made by Kenyans. And there has been some opinion polls that were made public last week. And the percentage of people who do not support the broad-based government, I mean, it was there for everybody to see. So please, Jared, don't ever think that whatever happens in Mount Kenya is informed by however Ruto is treated in Nyanza. We have no problem with that. We know that when somebody is rejected at home, they go to Nyanza to be nursed. I mean, Uhuru was happiest in his second term. The happiest moments would be found in Nyanza. And because because, now that Jared has said that, and I don't like, I respect people, and I respect Raila Amolo Odinga a lot. But it is true. When you are rejected at home from your former, support base, you run to Nyanza. And that is where you get comfort. So because Nyanza has decided to be the comforter of the reject, we have no problem with that.
Who is the
so
reject?
please,
who is the reject?
Please.
Who is the reject?
But Uhuru was rejected at home. That is why he used to come to be nursed. That is what Nyanza is doing for Ruto. I mean, if you have chosen that to be the cause, we have no problem with that.
Okay.
We do not complain. But please, Jared, Trevor, Trevor, Jared has said very many things, including saying that these must have been hired goons.
Yeah.
Who hired those that shouted Ruto must go in Gusii Stadium when Raila Amolo Odinga visited that place? You remember that match that was in, was it City Stadium? Again, who hired the people that were saying Ruto must go there? Who hired the person who threw a shoe at Ruto in Migori? Was it Wamunyoro? I mean, Jared can do better than this. And when he says that Rigathi Gachagua called Mount Kenya leaders foolish, and he says that he called them that just because they hold a different opinion, Jared is ignoring the context. Rigathi Gachagua said why he thought that these leaders were not wise. Because young men had been hired to block his way to attack a church. And these are people who are given money. And he said leaders from the region who are given money by Ruto to come and rock the region, to hire young men, pay them little money, and to attack even churches, women and children. Nobody doesn't know what happened in Kasarani again. And that is why he said he thought they were not very wise. Okay. And who is that wise person who ignores, an elected leader, who ignores the pleas of his people and represents President Ruto instead of representing his people?
Okay.
I mean, is that wisdom?
I was asking myself that, so it means that the people of Nyanza, they cannot decide who to vote for. Like literally, they cannot decide where their votes are, where they're going to cast their votes until they are told by Raila Odinga who to vote for. That is why sometimes I normally ask myself, or I normally ask this question, that suppose Raila Odinga dies today, so it means that the people of Nyanza will not vote because Raila Odinga is dead. So it means that if Raila Odinga dies today, or if Raila Odinga, suppose Raila Odinga says that refuses maybe to say the person that they should vote for, the Nyanza people will not vote because they've not been told who to vote for. Why can't the people just wake up and realize that they've been worshipping someone? We have to understand that these politicians are not demigods. That is the naked truth. These politicians are not gods. So keeping on praising them, worshipping them as if they are gods should come to an end. We should come out of that era whereby what a politician says is what should be done. That if a politician doesn't give direction, you hear them saying that Raila Odinga is going to give us direction. Why can't you look for that direction yourselves? Why can't we just figure out what to do? Okay, so if Raila Odinga says that we vote for let's say, if Raila Odinga says that people go and vote for Suluhu Hassan, the people who Nyanza will go to Tanzania and vote for Suluhu Hassan because Raila Odinga has told them to go and do that. Why is it that people can't change? Why is it that that mentality, I'm figuring, I'm just asking of the mentality that is in Luo Nyanza, the mentality that the Luos have, that if Raila Odinga can't tell us, haven't told us anything that why can't Luos have the mentality of Kikuyu? One thing I love with Kikuyus is that Kikuyus don't follow the politicians. I want to tell you today that is one thing I came to realize, that Kikuyus don't follow politicians. It is the politicians that follow Kikuyus. That is, and Kikuyus who are in this platform, I know you can bear with me this, and even some Luos who have followed politics very keenly, especially politics in Central, you'll come to realize that Kikuyus don't follow politics. They don't follow their politicians. It is their politicians who follow them. That is exactly what happened with Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua, the people of Kikuyu did not follow Rigathi Gachagua. That is why you normally hear Rigathi Gachagua talking about nimesikiza ground. Now, Rigathi Gachagua follows what the ground says. The ground doesn't follow him. He follows what the people say. That is why it was very easy for Rigathi Gachagua to chip in and to be understood by Kikuyus, because he realized that this is what Kikuyus want. So let me go with them. He did not wake up in the morning and told them that now this is the direction that I want us to take, and the Kikuyus took. No. Kikuyus stood firm and say that we are tired of William Samoei Ruto. Now, after Rigathi Gachagua realized that Kikuyus were tired with William Samoei Ruto, he came in with a narrative and an alternative, saying that now, okay, being that Kikuyus have refused regarding William Samoei Ruto, now what can I do to fit into this box? Now, let me come with the narrative of one term. Let me come with the narrative of fighting this person so that I can also find a place in the hearts of Kikuyus. And that is exactly how Rigathi Gachagua won the hearts of Kikuyus. So Rigathi Gachagua Kikuyus did not follow Rigathi Gachagua. Let nobody lie to you that Kikuyus follow Rigathi Gachagua. It is Rigathi Gachagua that followed Kikuyus. Suppose Kikuyus normally follow their politicians. Remember what happened back in 2022. When Uhuru Kenyatta came with the narrative of voting for Raila Odinga. Now, suppose Kikuyus follow politicians, they could have really followed what Uhuru Kenyatta wanted, or what Uhuru Kenyatta was telling them. But now, they didn't follow that because they didn't want to be, Kikuyus don't want to be misled, or maybe they don't want to be taken over, like they don't want anybody to own them, especially politically. But now the mistakes with the Luos and the Central and the Western is that they like to be told what to do. That is naked truth. That is what is happening. You see exactly what is happening in Nyanza and in Western, and that is why the leaders, the politicians in Nyanza and Western cannot help them. Cannot help them because they wait for what the politicians will say. The Luos are waiting for what Raila Odinga will say. Like, okay, what is the direction? What that is, you know, listening to people like Gladys Wanga saying that Baba tatupanga. Like, why can't you panga yourself? Why can't you just decide and say that, okay, now this man, this Raila Odinga is old. He has done a lot in politics, and we really respect that. Why can't we just decide and say that, okay, Raila Odinga did 1, 2, 3 things in politics when he was still strong. Now, it is our time now to take charge and do what is needful. And I normally say that, by the way, if Raila Odinga gets out of politics, because you know this thing called politics is seasonal, and as it stands right now, I think the season of Raila Odinga is gradually coming to an end. But now, what is funny is that there is nobody who is going to replace Raila Odinga politically. Let us just be open and frank. There is nobody who is going to replace Raila Odinga politically. So if Raila Odinga gets out of politics, it's going to be very difficult to find someone who will fit into his shoes. Why? Because he himself failed to nurture somebody. You know, somebody like Babu Owino is loved, but truth be told, Babu Owino cannot go the direction of Raila Odinga. He will look for his own direction. Babu Owino, Edwin Sifuna, Caleb Amisi, they will look for their own directions. Because they were not trained, they were not nurtured by Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga himself is a regime. You listen, you hear Raila Odinga saying that tomorrow is a holiday and everybody goes for that holiday. So I don't know. Let me say that is a spirit, and that spirit, people still think that that spirit controls them. But I think one thing I can say is that the people who Nyanza should wake up. People should wake up. Those who are supporting Raila Odinga should just wake up and realize that this Mzee is old. This man is old. We cannot be waiting for him to. Okay, what if he doesn't say? So if he doesn't say, just like I've asked, if he doesn't say, so it means that in 2027, the Luo Nyanza will not vote because Raila Odinga did not tell them what to do. Another thing, I've heard them arguing concerning the issue of Rigathi Gachagua. And yesterday we all remember that Kithure Kindiki was chased in Nyeri, was heckled in Nyeri. And I was asked, so there were this question was, Jared was saying that the people that had heckled Kithure Kindiki were hired by Rigathi Gachagua. So if Rigathi Gachagua was not there, this narrative of one term is almost everywhere. So you can't tell me that simply because Kindiki was heckled yesterday, so the people that heckled Kithure Kindiki have been hired by Rigathi Gachagua. Kwani Rigathi Gachagua doesn't have time to do his own things? It is high time these people who claim to be in government styles up and realize that they should wake up from the dream, because they're dreaming too much. These guys are dreaming too much. After all, guys, that is just my thought, and that is all I have for today. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and please don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you can get videos as immediately as they updated. Don't forget to also click the like button. Until we meet again, I've been your host, Boniface. Bingo.